Coming up next, from San Fran Freak Show, The Savage Nation. From Talk 910 KNEW.
Armstrong and Getty. Weekday morning, 6 to 10.
They kind of break the monotony of life.
Talk 910 KNEW.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
Now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
The judge to do what he did, which was to sentence him for the rest of his life, that when he leaves prison, which means after his death, and he leaves prison virtually unmourned by anybody on this earth, that he will then go down to the depths of hell, where he'll join those other people who are in the mouths of Satan.
I'm going to do a terrific show today because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. I suppose I'm such a success because my childhood was such a challenge.
It is the Savage Nation, and there's a whole lot of shaking going on, from a comedian in the Senate to Madoff victims with crocodile tears. Play it again, Sam. Yep. Comedian wins Senate seat. Senate now filibuster-proof for Socialist Party USA. You know them as the Democrats, but, I mean, let's pull the mask off the Democrats. It is the Socialist Party USA, and they now have a filibuster-proof majority. Let's hear it for Karl Marx. And then, of course, there's the other story. Or play the music better. Who cares about the music? The news, I mean the news. No one's home. The roads are empty. I thought the country's in a recession. The highways are empty. No one's working. And the reason I know everyone's on vacation is because my rotten, stinking neighbors are not burning fires or barbecuing every night. They're gone. Thank God they're in Tahoe, everybody. How can they all be broke if they're all in Tahoe? I have a special audience in studio tonight on the Savage Nation. An audience of 3. Very rare occurrence. I have a 10-pound poodle, a live woman, and a semi-comatose fly. Now, the fly is not, according to many of you think it's the Obama fly, and it is. I actually bought the fly from eBay after Obama swatted it. The phone number here is 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. Norm Coleman, Republican, well, Republican in name only, you don't even know who he is, but he was a Republican. I would not say he was as bad a rhino as the Spectre, but he was a rhino, an unknown Republican, a get-along, go-along kind of guy. Today conceded the Minnesota Senate race to Al Franken, which means that the half-wit comedian will be placed in the Senate. Now, it is true that a Roman, what do you call those Roman Caesars? What was his name? Put a horse in a Senate seat, didn't he? Caligula thought so highly of the Roman Senate that he had one of the senators eliminated, so to speak. I think he had him go open a pizzeria in Calabria. And in the senator's seat, he put a horse. And he told the other senators, this is what I think of you. The horse has more sense than you do. Well, today we have the equivalent in that Obama has put a half-wit comedian in a Senate seat. And now this means that Obama, the dictator, will have the 60 votes that he needs to push through his neo-Marxist agenda without worrying about a Republican filibuster. That is, if he ever had to worry about it to begin with, which I doubt. Now that Obama has Al Franken, there is virtually nothing stopping the neo-Marxist leader from getting what he wants. This is not so much about electing a comedian. It's about Obama's unfettered agenda. He can now push through socialized medicine. He can push through his private military force. which is the most worrisome thing in the world. Remember that the first thing that the Bolsheviks did, well, one of the first things the early communists did in Russia after the revolution was they established a Red Guard. The Red Guard was composed of the most vicious street thugs and the most ideologically fanatic amongst the communist thugs in the street. He gave them weapons, Lenin gave them weapons, and turned them into the Red Guard. It is frightening to believe that this could happen here, but I would put nothing past this administration. And because of the failure of the Republicans, nothing will stand in Obama's way except the Supreme Court, which now hangs by a thread like a loose tooth. This is the Savage Nation. The phone number is 1-800-449-8255. We can also go back to the Madoff victims. Oh, incidentally, Obama's disapproval rating is climbing steeply. And that is according to the Rasmussen poll. 31% now strongly approve of the way Obama is performing, while 33% strongly disapprove, which means it's an index rating of -2. And I believe that as the months progress, his disapproval rating will go way, way higher. 5 states bracing for shutdowns. That includes the late great state of California, where 70% of the budget goes for health and education spending. I want to repeat that in case you don't know where your money's going. I live in California. California's been very good to me, and I've been very good to California. I pay a lot in taxes, and I've given a lot back to the state. But when I see that the roads are broken and that I don't have basic services in so many ways, and that 70% of the state's budget, the most highly taxed state in the nation, goes for health and education, and you say, well, wait a minute, that's good, isn't it? If so much of the money goes for education, why do we have the lowest test scores in the country? Because it doesn't go for education. It goes for propaganda. Not one state governor, although they're bracing for shutdowns, not one governor will close the emergency rooms to illegal aliens, meaning non-citizens who have not paid for and are not entitled to medical care. Not one state will shut the schools to illegal alien children. Many of them are illegal alien children. They're not even born here, and yet they're going to our colleges and they're going to our schools, and they are not being barred from the schools. You may say, well, that's mean. My friends, I ask you, can we afford all of this anymore? The answer is we never could afford it. But now we have to pay the piper. And those are very important stories. The phone number is 1-800-449-8255. The show is The Savage Nation. These are the main topics, which is the filibuster-proof majority that Obama, the Marxist, now has with the seating of the comedian Al Franken, and, of course, the other story that I have mentioned, which is the Madoff victims crying and demanding that you bail them out. I want to talk about the Madoff victims for a moment. I'm sure they're not bad people. But you have to remember something. They're demanding that we pay them back for their bad investment with Madoff. They don't mean you. They say SIPC should pay them back. SIPC is an insurance fund that you fund. So in essence, they're saying that you should bail them out. Now, let me explain why that's wrong. Investment inherently has risk. I didn't invest with Madoff because I didn't know of him and it's too risky. I invested in a bank. I was making 1% a year or less than 1% a year. At some point, I had T-bills, God knows, 0.5% a year. I took the most conservative, safe investments I could find. I earned almost no interest. In other words, I parked my money. These people put it with Madoff the Gunnoff, which is old German for crook. Madoff the crook was giving them 10% earnings each year. So let us say they put $1 million in with Madoff. He was paying them $100,000 interest every year. So now they lost everything. But what happened to the $100,000 a year that they were getting from Madoff? They spent it. So now they want me to pay them back their principal of $1 million. Many of them received the principal back through the $100,000 a year that they were getting. This is all a scam. So if you think Madoff was a crook, you're right. But now the victims are trying to play you for a sucker by saying they lost it all. They didn't lose it all. They spent it all. In other words, where did the earnings go? They were living on it. Do you understand this? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, there's a subtext to this. The reason that the SEC didn't touch Madoff, even though they knew he was a crook of the highest order, is because Madoff bought off Charles Schumer, Madoff bought off Chris Dodd, Madoff bought off Kennedy, Madoff spent a fortune on the best senators he could find in the Democrat Party. They all were receivers of this largesse from Madoff, which is why the SEC was told not to investigate. Play the song again. I'm going to take a break and play with the fly and see if I can resuscitate it right here on the Savage Nation.
Hi, it's Roger Hitchcock. Join me evenings starting at 7, right after Savage on Talk 910 KNEW.
Well, the live audience in the Savage studio has been reduced to one live being. It is Teddy now. The fly is dead, I'm sorry to report. And the other member of the audience has left. I want to thank MD for listening to the Savage Nation. I can